homelessness ends with advocacy, resources, training, and housing, because that represents what the program actually does. I heard about this community meeting that was looking at homeless women with children.
I was actually blown away when I walked into the room, which seemed like hundreds of people, the people who wanted to discuss and understand that there was a need for services. At that time, I thought, needs for affordable housing, yes, because that's the business that I'm in, and there's need for affordable housing everywhere. But then there was this subset about people who are homeless in the North Hills.
So I signed up to be on a committee. One day, the real ringleader of this community meeting, Jean Stoltz, who was the head of the YWCA Northern Branch, invited me to lunch at the YWCA. And they said, "We want you to be the board president for this new organization." I said, "What?" That's how it happened. They asked me, I thought about it, I thought it was important, and I said yes. We went looking for a site, and we looked at any number of places, schools, business buildings.
Along the way, we met upon the Benedictine sisters. And the Benedictine sisters had a site, and they had a purpose, a social purpose, a mission purpose. And that seemed to work well with our purpose.
We went into negotiations with them, and then we rented 2 floors of the former St. Benedict's Academy building and began to raise money to make apartments there.
Because it's an enormous amount of work. First of all, to learn about what is it that you want to do as an organization? How do you do it? We struggled as an organization. Well, how do you fund this? How do you finance something like this? So we had to go out and find community people, community organizations who were interested in taking a chance on us. One of our founders, John Zimmer, who worked for Action Housing, I believe, at the time as executive director, he saw that HUD, Housing and Urban Development, had this very narrow window where one could apply and get funding to fund just the kind of development that we were looking for.
I was doing therapy and I was trying to decide what path I was going to take, and HEARTH started looking for an executive director. And I really felt that I needed to help people with basic needs. And she almost intuitively knew what we were thinking. Her thoughts about what was needed for women with children and what was needed in terms of their housing and so forth dovetailed exactly with what the board of North Hills Affordable Housing was thinking.
I actually found out about HEARTH from a friend who was staying here. I was hesitant at first because you think of shelters as, sharing showers, sharing common space, but when I, took a tour and looked and saw that we actually had our own space, our own apartment, I was blown away.
What happened is we rented space from the Benedictine sisters, and their population had decreased so much that they could no longer continue to live in the monastery. So they put everything up for sale, and HEARTH had to leave. And then we found the space that we're in now, which had been abandoned for 18 years, was nothing but mold, water, rotted wood, but solid bones, wonderful property, safe situation. So we applied for grant funding. We partnered with Truck Development, and we raised about $7.2 million so that we could own the new property. This way we can't be homeless again.
The program was shifting, needed to transition to a new place in that meantime while this was being built. They had found this larger property in the South Hills that was able to supply us with probably 19 or 20 apartments, so we could service the same number of women and have some staff there as well and some program space. That was an interesting transition, mostly because residents and program participants and our staff were used to being together in one space. And during that time, most of the staff were in the North Hills preparing for the new home, and the program participants and the direct support staff were in the South Hills, really working on individual goals for the women. And I think that sometimes, Transitions are hard, right? And I think that one was, at moments, kind of tricky.
One of the things we faced when we did HEARTH, and we faced it when we built the Bennett Woods housing, was that both communities weren't happy to have an affordable housing project come in. Since we got through that process, they've come to the point where they actually really are happy that we're there. Things have turned around to the point where now the township is looking to us to try to do some other things in the township. They're trying to help us figure out a way to maybe do some more housing or develop the site with some more amenities to enhance what we are already doing here. So it's been a real good transition for us, and it's been a good educational process for the neighborhood and for the municipality.
Shortly after we moved into this facility, we encountered some challenges with the county.
Yeah, we had received notification that how HUD funding, how it was given out, was going to be changing. The board had met and on several occasions talked about what we would do next. We had made the decision to push forward without the funding.
Even though it represented half of our budget, we felt it was just important for us to maintain our mission.
Certainly haven't regretted that decision since.
I came to HEARTH and they offered me the possibility to go to school, to find a job. At the same time, I was struggling to get my paperwork, to get my citizenship. And they supported me throughout the whole 2 years. I started to believe in myself again, and I could see my daughter smiling, and that helped me to keep going. Education was very challenging, but I think that gave me the strength because I knew that with that I could go farther. And they provided me with tutors, they provided me with assistance, with everything.
It's still a small-ish organization, but our awareness is so much deeper than it was, 10 years ago. I think with the addition of social media and just the internet in general, people can find out about us more. So I think what you can expect from HEARTH in the next 10 years is more social advocacy, more awareness out there in the media, in the community about the issues that our families face. I think HEARTH is going to really try to be at the forefront of those issues and driving change for not just our families, but families just like them.
When we first wanted to start the Young Professionals Board, Judy approached me, a couple of our neighbors, and just said, look, we're trying to fill a need. It is important, obviously, to have the next generation. We fully intend on moving forward through the future and trudging along, and the next generation will be our board of directors. Introduction into the agency, not only just the ability to feel like you're helping, but more than that, to drive it home. I think we have such a dedicated team. They're all so willing to put the next step in place to be able to serve our families and into the future.
And the great thing about Judy is her passion that she brings to a project. I think it's kind of a double-edged sword for us because you can never say no to Judy.
Judy is amazing. She is such a visionary. She is the captain of the ship. I can't say enough about her.
Judy is an amazing lady. Her personality is electric. She has a huge passion for the organization.
She's always very encouraging to the women and trying to not only guide you, but kind of, show you what to expect when you're out in the real world.
Judy is the reason I took this job. She has confidence in us to do what we need to do to continue helping our families. So while I think it's going to be weird, I think that she set us up to really succeed.
Everybody knew Judy because Judy was involved with every single meeting and every single person. So even when she was young Judy, 24 years ago, she had it, she got it, and she learned it. And if she didn't know it, she learned it. She's not timid. So she's gonna speak up if she sees something that's wrong and injustice. She's smart about how she's able to do that. And it's a skill to bring people in and have them become a part of it without even feeling that you had just been roped into doing something that you didn't realize you were gonna do.
Judy's a dynamo. I'm not sure how she keeps going. She covers every base possible and more, and she's always looking for another way to make things better.
She is very human, she is very amazing, she is a very good listener, and she is always there for you.
HEARTH is an amazing place that that gives women who've experienced domestic violence and other trauma a place to reset.
I saw firsthand what the organization did for people. I saw being in a safe place with people who cared about you and enwrapped you in services and kind of propped you up, no hand out. And I saw how these women with their children struggled to make all that happen. And I saw the success with it. I saw that people really broke that cycle of homelessness.
HEARTH is really a product of the entire community.
HEARTH is a safe place. HEARTH is a place where families that need more than just shelter can go to receive the care that they need to rebuild their lives.
HEARTH is a great place for women to begin a new life, to start over. And this is a place where they can come in and begin to grow and begin to hope again, to be their best selves. And I think it's also a place where children come here and feel safe and feel comfortable, and it's a good place for them to learn and a good place for them to believe in their moms again.
Looking back at it, it was a great asset for me in my future, because I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for HEARTH.
I'm very proud of her. She worked very hard to get here, and I'm just proud of her.
I just felt that it was important to help families become self-sufficient and to kind of elevate them out of poverty, help the women become successful, help their children to become successful.
Is an organization that saves lives.
HEARTH is a gift to many people.
It's a bright light where there was darkness for a lot of our mothers and their children.
Do never give up. I want to tell this to women who suffers, who goes through a lot, that HEARTH is there for them. And sometimes we get to this darkness where you think you can't go anywhere, but HEARTH is there for you.
To be in an environment that gives them peace and safety and a home that they can call their own, that they can raise their children, that they can study, that they can just come breathe, play, and get support from each other. There isn't any way to describe what it feels like to see the families here. HEARTH is hope. HEARTH is a belief in people's ability to succeed and overcome.